Right now, I am facing a very interesting final boss of sobriety, and that is to stop smoking weed. And it's crazy because I don't see weed as being something that is morally wrong or will, it's not going to kill you, it's not going to ruin your life. It is something that a lot of people use in their sobriety as well, the California sober thing. And I totally understand that works great for many people and would never cast aspersions against whatever works for you. I understand that being high is not being sober, but when we're looking at wanting us to be functioning good members of society, I think that there's more important things to do than gatekeep sobriety. Because I talked to someone who was okay with me essentially going to meetings and knew that I still wanted to smoke weed, it kind of reopened the conversation for me. I went from wanting to be California sober to being fully sober. But I'm a little terrified of it because I definitely want to be able to escape at the end of the day, and I still have trouble thinking of sober as being fun ever, which is not a good mentality. Even though I can think of so many things that I've done that are fun and that are sober. It's just kind of a narrative that I think plays out in a lot of people's minds when they're facing the idea of never feeling intoxicated again. Another thing that's super weird for me right now is that because I got off hard drugs, I am really having trouble recognizing how difficult it is for me to stop smoking weed. I'm like, oh my God, I've overcome these things that should be so much harder, and yet I am freaking out. When you first stop smoking marijuana, as strong as it's gotten these days, you can expect to have nights where you can't sleep. You're gonna be most likely irritable. I get really anxious. I start to, feel like I can't breathe properly. And so what I'm going to do is make sure that I have strategies for dealing with these things. But I also wanted to share how genuinely powerless I was feeling around this, because I really don't want to give up that last escape. But I know that I will feel more energy on a day-to-day basis. And I also know that I am numbing myself to reality to a degree. And that is not, I think, my best version of myself, even though it's not gonna literally kill me. And I think that in a way, having to face something where I will survive if I keep doing it, in some ways makes it more challenging, because my brain is like, well, it's not that big a deal, and you're gonna have to suffer. And that's kind of the thing where if I went out to a bar, it feels nice to be like, okay, well, I might not be drinking, but I'm smoking weed. It feels less alienating, I guess, from the normals, right? But I know that this is something that is ultimately going to be really good for me. And I know that valerian root is really, really helpful when I get panic attacks. And I also have magnesium that can help with anxiety. Cortisol managing, sleep supplements can be very helpful. So I know that there are ways to make it easier. But I have to admit, I am a little bit frightened to let go of essentially the pause game function in my life. Okay, I've done all my work, I've worked hard, and now I get to check out. And I recently went through a pretty traumatic weather event along with most of the people in my community, and that was kind of when I started smoking more weed to try and deal with how terrifying this is. And I'm recognizing that I don't want to be tired. I don't want to feel less present ever. I want to face uncomfortable emotions and come out the better for them. I don't want to run away. I don't want to avoid reality.